Welcome to The Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to The Actor's Choice. Roll it, Tony.
Losing light. Best we get a fire going.
So beware of the tall, dark stranger.
You're late, boy.
Sorry, sir.
Where were you?
Ladies and gentlemen, my first guest today has been a working actor in Hollywood since 1990. His credits include The Righteous Gemstones, Bones, Castle, The Restless, Bold and Beautiful, General Hospital. By the way, if you're an actor, ladies and gentlemen, you got to go to General Hospital. That's one of the things that you have to do. And many, many more. Here's another item that he's done. During the strike of 2023, this guest also served on the negotiating committee of the TV technical contract, as well as the chair of the Los Angeles Organizing Commerce. Folks, we could be up here all day long talking with this gentleman, but right now, let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome actor Kevin E. West. Greetings, Kevin, and welcome to The Actor's Choice.
Hey, Mr. Brewington, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Tell us, where were you born?
I was actually born in Phoenix, Arizona, but I do not consider that home. I grew up in rural Tennessee.
Okay. Well, you've been in Tennessee, and I had the pleasure of being in Tennessee, in Memphis and a few other states, so I can appreciate what it's like in Tennessee. By the way, while we're going through this discussion, speaking of glamour, at this moment, the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce is announcing the 36 persons who were selected for a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for the year 2025. By the way, Kevin, do you have a star?
It's not me.
It's not you.
I hate to be a show spoiler, but it's not me.
Because if you did, I would say, look behind me. Some of those people there, I get stars for people. And it's called STD, something to do. So if you're interested, let me know. We'll talk about it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see. So growing up in Tennessee, what was it like growing up in Tennessee?
I was about probably, as a car drives, about 45 minutes outside of Nashville. And it's not the Nashville that people think of today. 1969, at the city limits of Hendersonville and Gallatin, was pretty much the middle of nowhere. So it was fine. I grew up similar-ish to what we might call Tom Sawyer or Huckleberry Finn. We were of very medium to lower means, and I grew up without a father. I was a sports freak, which I've always been. I was an all-star ball player and had delusions of grandeur of being a professional golfer at one point. Matter of fact, I just played the first 2 rounds of my club championship yesterday and Saturday. But I was a baseball player, and growing up there was lovely up to a point. And then I decided that eventually I would have to leave that region of the country.
These things happen. Those are
They
stories.
do.
Good stories. Good
They
stories. The acting bug bit you. When did that happen?
Oof. We might be here a really long time if I
That's
got
okay.
into that. It's a combination of course, related to having to put down or choosing, I should say, to put down the desire to be a professional athlete. But I was always a class clown. Back in those days in the South, we got paddled in school. And let's just say I got paddled a lot. And let's also add to that, Ron, I deserved it. So I might have been a slight class disruptor back in the day. And so my desire to sort of perhaps do stand-up comedy, and my desire as just sort of a natural goofball, as I call myself, led through a series of events and winning a big talent contest in New York kind of led to my decision. But I did travel to Atlanta first, and this is back before Atlanta is what it is today.
Gotcha.
You know, I went to Atlanta for 2 years and got my union affiliations and booked a couple of feature films and did some commercials and all that sort of stuff. And then I eventually came to Los Angeles.
Los Angeles and Hollywood, yes. In my research, I found that in 1987, there was an American fantasy family com directed by Alan Repert that you did. Timothy Hutton, Kelly McGillis were the stars. The movie was made in Heaven.
Yes, Made in Heaven. Made in Heaven. Yep, Made in Heaven. We shot that in Charleston, South Carolina, which ironically is exactly where I shot The Righteous Gemstones. So that was kind of a bookend of that. And then I also did Leverage with Timothy after all those years. And we kind of spent some time on the set laughing about the fact that I had done Made in Heaven with him. And then we were in Portland doing Leverage together.
Right. That was your first uncredited role. I understand you bounced back later, 3 years later to 1990. And there you were with Matlock.
They cut me out of Made in Heaven, jerks. But yes, my first primetime guest star was indeed Matlock, and that seems like yesterday, but gosh, it sure wasn't. So there you go.
It's just amazing that ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman has 73 of those acting credits that we talk about.
Real ones, as opposed to the made up ones.
Yes. But we say, not bad.
It could be worse, and I could also say it could be a lot better, which I continue to work on all the time. I'm shooting a feature in Spain in November, and you're always trying to book a job, Ron. That's just the nature of this profession.
You sure booked a bunch of. As I went through the system, you had, let's see, General Hospital, yes, Melrose Place, 7 Days, Resurrection Boulevard, The X-Files, and New York, Pete Blue. All these things you got, and more.
Yeah, and more. Yeah. There was a time when working as a guest star on television, I would actually say it was certainly never easy. But the industry's changed. That's what happens in entertainment. It's what happens in the world. The industry is not what it used to be in a number of ways, but certainly with regards to how television is done and how we cast things these days, the industry has changed, and you always have to, you can stay in your stuck ways or you can adjust. And the last 10 or 12 years in Hollywood for someone like myself, who is not a quote unquote star, has been an adjustment, and that's just part of the profession. But yes, it's I have done better than many, and I would still like to do better than I have to this point. So I continue to push onward.
Okay, what are your thoughts about artificial intelligence, commonly known as AI?
My thoughts on it?
Yes.
Wow. Well, since I was part of the negotiating committee, and it was the number one problem or challenge or let's say contract point in our contract negotiation of 2023. I have a zillion thoughts on it. Mostly, however, to keep it within the context of your show, a couple of things. As much as a lot of our community nationwide, and especially in Los Angeles, would like to say there just should be no AI, while I can understand the lovely philosophy of that, the horse and buggy didn't stop the car, and the 8-track tape didn't stop cassette tape, and cassette tape didn't stop CDs, and CDs didn't stop DVDs. You're not going to be able to do a lot about the evolution of technology. However, what you can do, which we have done and which we will continue to do, is put extremely strong fences and specificity, and along with what will be eventually case law, around the limitations by which you can, quote unquote, replace a human being on set. Yes. And so, I think that a lot of the consideration, Ron, that got left out of the conversation and still gets left out is, yes, there are mechanisms in which you can go create really cool images and really cool videos with AI, and you can create really fast stick figures that talk. But I think what people sometimes forget at the moment is how difficult it is to create an actual human digital replica that you would actually believe is a real person when inserted into an actual scene of human beings that were actually reported. So I always point to Indiana Jones, the last Harrison Ford film, where they spent 12 minutes of him, and that cost about $250,000. It's not something that everybody can afford to do at a realistic level. It'll get cheaper, but my thoughts are you're not going to stop it. All you can do is properly and legally contain it.
It's in China now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all you can do.
Yeah. While you're drinking, I'm saying a must in this business, a must that you have to do. It's called an audition.
Yes. You'd love to be, everybody would love to wake up and be an offer only client, but it's not usually the way it goes.
Of the 73 that you have, 41 of them are TV series. You like TV series, huh?
Yeah, they like me. I don't complain. It's funny enough, it may even be shifting for me after all of these years. I may wind up spending, the last third of my career may wind up being more features, just based on the way television's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I seem to get locked into procedural guest star episodic 1 hour television, and that has been a lot of what I have done. Even though I was a stand-up comic for a while, I didn't pursue it all the way to the career level. I did it for a couple of years and decided to stop, albeit I loved it. So I have not done as much comedy as for as funny as I think I am, Ron. Maybe I'm not. But yes, most of my career has been either feature dramas or 1 hour episodic television guest star dramas. Yes.
Just happen to have a cloud for you, just for you. Roll it, Tony.
Are we not? Same pestilent-ridden ark. It's bigger than you, boy. Can't you see that? We have an obligation. We are the chosen few. We must be fruitful and multiply.
She ain't yours.
No, you're right. It's a new world. She belongs to all of us. As does what's inside her. Leave the girl, and we'll leave you be, to make your own way. Otherwise, we're forced to compete. Ain't personal. It's Darwinism, son.
It's Darwinism, son.
Oh, yeah. By the way, when we give you a copy of it, you'll hear the audio in it. Yeah.
Oh, no. I know.
Tony, we'd give you number 12. If you would, please, this would show a lot of things that this gentleman has done. Look at that. Would you look at that, ladies and gentlemen? Look at that. All those things he's involved with. The Actors Network. What's that one? Dirty Laundry.
Dirty Laundry Television, yeah.
All this stuff.
Well, it keeps me out of jail, Ron. I wrote 3 books, one of which is about the business of show business. I did a celebrity golf tournament for 10 years here in LA for melanoma research.
Yes.
I lost a dear friend of mine to skin cancer, and I've just always been somebody with a number of ideas. I'm about to roll out a couple of podcasts, and I try to keep my mind artistically occupied with intelligence and also efficiency. So I will always be doing something, regardless of where I may or may not be on a set, or may not be related to, assisting SAG-AFTRA, the union, or whatever it may be. I will always have something on the plate artistically in front of me to do or talk about or write.
Let's go back to the Actors Network. Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman founded it. Tell us what is this organization about?
Indeed, I did. Well, it's so long ago. First of all, it was 1991. We lived in a different world. It was an analog world. It wasn't a digital world. But I've been asked many, many times, why did I start the Actors Network? And I tend to sometimes then answer it more often with why I continued it, because it existed as a physical organization for 23 and a half years. I closed the physical offices in June 30th of 2013. So it's almost 11 years ago to the day. I still coach people on the business of show business all the time. But I started it, Ron, in my apartment, actually not very far from where I live today. It eventually had its own offices and eventually 2 locations, one in Studio City and then one in West Hollywood. We were not a casting workshop place. I need to be crystal clear about that, because that's a perception sometimes that folks have of it. It was a business education organization for actors, and we talked truth. And so I started it because what I saw after 4 years in Los Angeles, the time that I started it, what I witnessed as a strong-minded rural Tennessee third baseman, but also as an artistic Pisces, that walking contradiction that I am, I saw what I felt was a lot of unnecessary frustration, psychological confusion. I at one time had hoped to be a psychology double major. I am not. I have no pieces of paper on the wall, but I did something I pursued for a while. And so I really just started the network with a handful of people sitting in a room having a conversation. And that's how it started. But the conversation was very specific, since we talked about the military and your Navy background. It was flexible, but it was with structure. And over the course of the next couple of years, I became not only kind of a pioneer of a new way of looking at show business, but also the first person to ever create an entire annual curriculum for the business of show business. And still to this day, no university has ever done that. Still, there's a reason why they don't, because they don't really know the business. The challenge that I have today in the digital world, Ron, is that, you know, you have a lot of people who've either been around Hollywood a long time or were in Hollywood for a while, and then they moved back to some town. But, you know, digital technology allows anyone to sort of, you know, show or perceive themselves as an expert in something. And to me, a lot of what it gets discussed about the business of show business is really only about 5 or 10% of it. And that's, you know, get a headshot, have a demo reel, get a representative. Those are all just tasks, things you pay for, things you need to get. But to me, it's not the in-depth nature of both pursuing a career and being able to handle circumstances and scenarios in this career that cause us consternation and frustration as sensitive, artistic people most of the time. And so that's probably the biggest why I created what became an award-winning organization that was on Entertainment Tonight and in other such awards that it won through Backstage West, etc. That's why I did it.
I just used one of my favorite words. I call it EJO. Are you familiar with EJO?
EJO?
Yes, EGO.
Oh yeah, yeah, ego. Yeah, yeah. It's also one of my favorite words. Yes, and unfortunately, ironically, Ron, that is to me the biggest problem with the business of show business, is that most actors that I know globally, I have plenty of people who I know in Paris or London or Australia.
Right.
We know how the process of the business works. How you go from going to class to having a picture to then having a website and get on a casting. All of what I call the setup of a person going skiing.
Yes.
Where you can buy the clothes and you can rent the skis and the poles, doesn't mean you know how to get off the chairlift. So that's a lot of the ego of, like, I understand the business, yes, but do you know how to psychologically put together 7 questions when you have an agent meeting? Do you understand the differences of this and that? Do you understand how to approach the way you think about marketing? Do you understand what things to say and not to say when you're out in a location, now that we're post-COVID, talking to someone in the profession? That's the 90% of the business that I don't think really gets addressed properly. And it's part of what I always have done since '91 and what I do when I coach people.
Wow, interesting. What's currently going on with your organization right now, the Actors Network?
Well, the network itself simply exists as the history of the organization. If you go to theactorsnetwork.net, you will see the history and a lot of the stars, celebrities that were members of it. I was the founder of the network.
Yes.
So the way that I sort of continue the legacy of the network, aside from its history, is theactormba.com, meaning master the business of acting, theactormba.com. That is my active business education website for myself as the founder of the Actors Network. That's why there are 2 different sites. So the Actors Network exists in the digital space and its history and reputation, and I continue on with what I did at the network. I just do it as an individual.
Okay. One of the devices that we're going to bring it right now, it's the final report of January 6th. when I saw it, I went, wait a minute, who's that? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, one of my fellow union members, Art Keniston, decided one day, he just decided that he wanted to, they did the same thing with 9/11, and they did the same thing with the Mueller report, where there was a written Bible, written story of all the proceedings that went down in terms of the congressional review of it. And he just decided, hey, why don't we put the final report from the January 6th committee, in audio form? And would you like to narrate, for lack of a better phrase, voiceover, one of the chapters from that report? And so that's what it is. It was something that was done simply to add voices to the report. It is just a reading of the January 6th committee's final report that they delivered in terms of the government. Yes.
Okay, Kevin. I understand you have an event going on in November.
Yeah, I'll be in Spain shooting a feature in November, and obviously whatever comes on between now and then. I've had a life right story for quite a while that I have managed to put a package together with all approved offers, etc. It's hard to do with J.K. Simmons, who happens to be a friend of mine from Whiplash, and James McTeague, the director of V for Vendetta, and Luke Evans, and you get to the place where you're discussing things with financiers, and anyone's ever tried to do this understands this. You spend a lot of time going back and forth on what is the approved budget and how far can you push it. So we do hope to shoot that next year. It has some specifics about when it has to be done based on season and farming. So there's a specific area there when it has to be done. But like I said, that keeps me busy, along with I'm developing a TV series and about to launch a couple of podcasts. So I have nothing going on.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Uh-oh. I see.
Just sitting around in my underwear, Ron, doing nothing.
I see you have an upcoming short completed called One Cigarette.
Indeed.
Yes. Interesting.
Yeah. Matter of fact, the guy that wrote that, J. Craig Stiles, good WGA captain during the strike, he also developed and wrote the life right script that I'm working on called Shadow of a Mercenary. So that was a short he wrote a long time ago, and he had spent some time in Austin, and he wanted to shoot it down there, but it was 13 or 14 pages long, and 9 pages of it was one guy, and he just couldn't. He had not been able to find someone he thought could do the role, and we became friends. And he said, "Hey, read this and tell me what you think." And it was terrific, and we went out and shot it.
Wow. What kind of roles do you like to do most of the time?
Well, I'd actually like to do a lot more things with accents and dialects and a lot more comedy, right? But I'm sort of locked into this sort of crazy drama thing. I some of the stuff that once you've done a lot of this and you've done a lot of exposition television, Ron, a lot of us would like to be hired in a different way. I mean, I am somebody who would love to have done, Goodfellas. I just don't look like an Italian mafia guy. I would love to have done some stuff that's a little more action oriented for sure. But, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I would like to do some things that are a little more my sense of humor, which is a snarky sense of humor. There's, Chris Farley and Adam Sandler is one type of comedy on screen, and then Dennis Leary and Vince Vaughn is another. And I'm a little more Vince Vaughn, because I'm a little bit more of a sort of a biting smartass in life, and anyone watching this will tell you that's true. So that is something that I'd like to do a little more of. I mean, I certainly I love playing the guy on Lost, because I got to play an Australian, and I'll beat out about 13, 14 Australians to get that role, and everybody associated with it thought I was Australian, so it was great. I like doing that stuff, but yes, I certainly would love to be able to do some things with a little more snark in them moving forward.
Did you say snart? Did I use
Yeah.
something?
Yes, SNARK, snarky.
Okay, you hear that?
Yes,
Sound there.
snarky smartass.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That.
Kevin, do you Do you? Do you get up
You
on the
know.
stage, young man?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have not done stage. Well, I mean, aside from being a stand-up for 2 years, yes,
Yes.
I did standard stage theater stuff back when I first moved to Los Angeles. I was a member of Theater East Theater Company,
Uh-huh.
and I did and certainly the two people, my two main teachers in my life, were both old school New York uh, theater people. I have not done a live active stage play in quite some time. Once I got to on a regular basis doing television, I had not gotten back to it. Part of that, Ron, is because I founded the Actors Network. So, trying to run a small business, what it became. I didn't start it as that. It wasn't a good business model. It lost money over 23 and a half years. But running that the way of what was required of me, plus just doing the television that I was doing, and in relationships, etc., living life, that kept doing a stage play for a 6 to 12 week run plus rehearsal wasn't really in the cards for me.
Got you. We have a guest who's coming up right behind you. She is involved very much in stages. If you stick around, you'll see this lady has been around a long, long time, has all kind of degrees. We'll talk about it. By the way,
I love it. I don't have a problem with being on a stage. Hand me a microphone. I mean, I do corporate speaking on the side as well. Yes. So, I have no problem with it. It just has not been something I made a focus for a while.
I have to tell you this one. I see that you ran 4 LA marathons.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the medals are hanging right there.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yes, and then I realized I had better things to do with 4 hours and 15 minutes of my day. I had run cross country in high school, and I got injured my senior year, and they were all going to go down and do this trip and run a marathon, and I couldn't go. And so it was one of those things in my head my whole life. I wasn't doing it for self-esteem, which is some of the great reasons people choose to take on a marathon. I just did it, and then it took me to do 4 before I realized this is kind of boring. I'm going to skip this, and so I stopped at 4.
Wow. Because I was just about to ask you, what do you do when you're not working?
I am a golfer. That's the one thing based on my current age. I stopped playing high-end baseball a while ago because I was going to get myself killed. But I'm still an avid competitive golfer. I'm still a 6 handicap, 5 handicap, which is something I was a walk-on in college. And that's the main thing that I do. The other thing I would say that I care a great deal about is traveling. I am a huge advocate that I wish more Americans would actually travel outside of North America. So I'd probably say I'm always stay fitness. I hike, play golf, and when I can afford to travel and have the time, I take off.
Take off, yes, indeed. Kevin, we're out of time. I wish we had more time. You have so much that you shared with us today to talk about, but we do need to have you come back again. So I'll be talking to your publicist. We'll be working on that. Okay.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I appreciate you having me, Ron.
Let me know if you want to get that star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Let me know.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Kevin E. Ward, thank you very, very much, ladies.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you. This is the Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. Roll it, Tony. We'd like to let you know that we're asking the Actors Choice Squad to help us get former baseball player Curt Flood into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Curt passed away January 1997, was the husband of one of our wonderful, wonderful guest, renowned actress and a dear friend, Judy Pace. So please give a call to 213-349-3941. That's 213-349-3941. Okay? Okay. And we sincerely thank each and every one of you for being a part of this magnificent award for a great baseball player. Roll it, Tony. Tony, our next guest today holds, you ready for this? The lady has a Bachelor of Arts in Theater, a Master's in Theater, and another Master's in Theater with an emphasis in teaching. And if that's not enough, this lady has a doctorate degree in educational leadership from one of my favorite schools. We call it USC. My goodness, indeed. She's a veteran director and production designer. And for you ready, over 100, you ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? Over 100 musicals and stage plays. Not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad. She's here today to talk about a new play that she's directing. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jude Lucas. Miss Lucas? Dr. Lucas. Can I call you Dr. Lucas?
You can call me Jude, Ron. It's a
All
pleasure
right,
to be here
Jude.
with
All
you.
right. Jude, welcome to the Actor's Choice. I was just thinking about how many letters do you have behind your name with all the degrees that you've acquired? My goodness.
Well, enough letters, but not enough to write a book. That's for sure. That's for sure. Still working on all sorts of different kinds of letters to add to the back of my name.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been quite a journey. So I want to thank you for having me on the show, Ron. It's really such a pleasure. Thank you.
Definitely. Your publicist is a dear friend, Mr. Sokolov, Philip Sokolov.
Yes.
He's a good guy.
He sure is. I've known him for quite a while, and there's no one like Phil, that's for sure. He's the best.
He's also an actor. You know that.
Yes, I do. I do know that.
Yes.
I do
when
know
I
that.
tell people, they go, "No, not him." Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is, and he's a very fine actor, actually.
Yes, he's a fine. By the way, are you a fine actress?
That's how I started.
Yes.
I started doing that in high school. I moved here with my parents when I was a sophomore in high school, and they were doing a play, and I thought, well, that sounds like it would be fun. So I auditioned for the play, and I got cast in the play, and that was it. That's all it took. And I very jokingly always say, this is a very strange addiction, theater. It doesn't, it isn't something you choose. It chooses you. And it's been quite a journey.
Wow.
So that's how I started doing
Yes.
theater in high school, and then in college. And then I worked a little bit professionally here and there, and, did a bit of touring here and there, and then just went, theater's really my thing, not film or television. I love theater.
Yes.
So I didn't really pursue a film or television career because I was too busy doing theater, as well as getting degrees in education and degrees in theater. And I was working at a theater in Monrovia, California here back in the 80s, and their director was ill and was not able to finish directing Sound of Music. And they came to me and they said, well, you've done a lot of theater. You want to direct this show? I said, well, I've never directed before. And I was in the process of getting my master's at the time in directing. I said, well, I think this would probably be good. I could most certainly try my hand, but I don't know. So I directed that. And again, as I said earlier, theater chooses you. You don't choose it.
Yes.
And that was it. I just went, I really like doing this. This is really great. So that began my road on doing a lot of plays and directing a lot of stuff.
Someone that I ran into, I think he was with you. He put up what he calls a thought, where he talks about what theater is. Tony, can you put that one up on number 33? And there it is. Theater is critical to survival. The dinosaurs did not have theater, and look how they turned out.
I think that's a great quote, and I believe that firmly. Theater is really a mirror into our soul and our thought and our humanity and our brother and sisterhood. I think theater has so much power to heal and bring together and close these loops that we've created as human beings for ourselves. So yeah, I like that quote. I think I'm going to use that quote if I have permission to do that.
The gentleman's name is David Paul Needles.
Oh, yes, I do know Mr. Needles. Yes. What a generous and kind person. And I'll tell you, quite a fine actor and director himself. Yes. He was associated with the Pasadena Shakespeare Company here for many, many years. Came out of Southern Methodist University in Texas, worked with some very notable people there, did a bunch of television and film work, and has worked with me as an actor and as a director. And actually, I met David when I was working at LaSalle High School as the Visual and Performing Arts Department chair there a few years ago. And I needed a drama teacher, and I had met David before, and we ended up in this marvelous collaborative kind of environment there, the two of us, where we worked to build a really great, thriving visual and performing arts magnet sort of school. We have students that graduated from LaSalle that went on to careers in the industry, and it's really exciting to see. And David was a big, big part of that. So thank you, David.
I saw it up on Facebook. I said, "Ooh, let me see. It's a nice talk that they had there." Definitely.
Yeah.
But as I read your bio, and it's thorough, very thorough, I see that being in the theater is something that you love. Am I correct?
Yes. I love it with all my heart, with all my soul, with every inch of my being. Sometimes, in fact, I say to some of the actors and other theater professionals that I work with, I must be insane because I will go to great lengths to do theater, to be involved in theater. It's really my lifeblood. It doesn't necessarily bring pennies into my purse, but it brings great joy to my heart.
Yeah, amen. You and I have never met each other before, but I'm going to share with you how I feel about a subject matter that when I talk to actors and actresses, I get a little mad. Here's what it is. They come here to LA. They want to be a star. Great, no problem at all. And by the way, as we're talking right now, 36 people are right now the world is now finding out about these people who are going to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So if you're ever interested in getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, give me a call. We'll see what we can do about that. Okay. But back to what I was trying to say was that these people come here, actors and actresses. They will do television. They will do film. But they won't get up on that stage. They won't do that. Won't do that. What's wrong with them?
I think part of it is the magic of, I think they believe that getting on to a television show or being in front of the camera is a real mark of success. And I think a lot of these young people and people generally who come with that idea in mind don't understand that in order to do that well, you need to develop a craft. And the way you develop the craft is by being a journeyman in the theater. Working in the theater should come first. And I blame Hollywood for this. I really do, because they cast types. They don't cast actors in many, many cases. And I think, you come in and you go, yeah, I'm good looking. I got a lot of energy. I think I should be a star. It isn't that they want to be an actor or actress. They want to be a star. And that's a very different animal, very different animal. I've been working with a young man. I worked with a young man a while ago who came to LA specifically to have a film and television career. And I cast him in a show, and he'd never done theater before. And I said, why haven't you done theater? He goes, well, I want to do movies. Why would I do theater? So I also blame our educational system that isn't very forthright in what it takes to really do a good job on that stage, and also in front of the screen, in front of the camera. I think that our actors who are trained in the theater, when they then make the switch to doing film and television, I think we have a much richer experience in what they have to offer us.
Wow.
But I'm with you. I agree. That sort of is a little anger making.
Yes. In fact, one person one day told me something. I said, star. He said, you know what that is, don't you? I said, no, what is it? He said, that's rat spelled backwards. I went, what? I hadn't thought
That's
about
pretty
that.
good.
Never thought
Sounds
about
pretty good. Yeah.
STARRATS. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you look at Glenn Close and Meryl Streep. They were started in the theater. They're theater people. They were educated in the theater. And yeah, they're great actresses, absolutely. But their beginning was in the theater, walking those boards, learning all of the specifics and becoming educated and working through their processes, learning the techniques that make really for great performances.
We go to school for a reason. I know I've been working the last 20 odd years. I've been working over at Santa Monica College, teaching broadcasting and a few other subjects. And we have theater over there. And I mean, they've got a great theater over there in schools.
They do.
I see a lot of people right now. I try to tell them, get a little, we call it edumacation. Go on out there and learn something, and put your hands in it. Here's one for you. I thought to myself, I said, tell us what is required of classes that you have to take to get the degrees that you got. They didn't give them to you.
No, they don't. They don't. They didn't give it to me. That's for sure. It was a lot of work. The thing that I discovered in getting not only my master's, but also my doctorate in education at USC, fighting on USC. The big thing is that whole process really it sort of changes your perspective of the world at large. Yes. And it even goes into this kind of granular kind of place where you realize that every day, every single day, you must be open to learning. That degree doesn't mean that that's terminal, that it's the end. You have to keep learning. You have to keep looking. And it's interesting with young people in school now. They don't, they're looking for that A, they're looking for that degree, they're looking for the thing. And what they don't understand is, you need to be open to new experiences. And people are so afraid of failure right now, so afraid to fail. And I always would tell my students, and I look at it myself and I go, you know what? Failure is a really great learning opportunity. We have to fail up. We don't fail down. And, working through the master's and the doctorate, I learned that, yeah, there are a lot of very, very interesting and wise people out there that I can learn from. And my journey isn't complete, my learning journey. I may not get more letters after my name, but the journey continues in terms of, it's always a learning experience. With every show I direct, I learn something new. With every person I meet, I learn something new. With every obstacle that shows up, that's just an opportunity. That's not an obstacle. That's an opportunity.
Wow. You're here today to talk about a play that you're doing right now called If All the Sky Were Paper.
Yes.
What a thought.
This piece is it's an interesting story of how I came to find this piece. During the pandemic, I was still working at the high school. And of course, we couldn't be more than 6 feet too close to each other. And, theater is so dependent on relationship.
Yes.
I was going, well, I need to figure out a show to do. And I had read a book by Andrew Carroll, Letters to a Nation. And this book, and it's one of many books that this gentleman has written, was a compilation of war letters that were written by American servicemen. And I'd read it and I thought, oh, this would be great. Yes. We can do kind of a Spoon River anthology sort of thing where the kids read the letters, and it could be very powerful and impactful. And it will also provide them with some information as to what happens to people when they're put in this kind of a situation where they've got to go to war or, something. So I started looking for Andrew Carroll because I wanted to have permission to use the piece. And I thought, well, I've written plays for my kids. I've written plays myself for my own enjoyment. I'm going to see if I can put these together in a play format. Well, as luck would have it, he was working at Chapman University here in Orange County in the history department. And I spoke to him about doing this, and he goes, oh, sure, that would be so great. But I have a play I already wrote. And we did it at Chapman in 2018, but it's really rough. It's just, it's the first thing I've written. Yes. And it's interesting because in 2018, he did this piece with Annette Bening and Ed Asner at the theater there at Chapman as a reading. And he says, I'd love to have it done by the high school, have your students exposed to it. Yes. And, I'm looking forward to moving this idea forward. And he had started the War Letters Project is what it's called at Chapman University, where a lot of these letters are now being moved to the War Letters Project, where these things are being taken care of so that they don't disappear. So we weren't able to do it at the high school, but I said to him, I have a theater company based in Pasadena. It's a very small theater company, the Arroyo Repertory Theater. And the mission of that theater is to provide a platform for unheard voices and unheard ideas. A company that does big Hollywood blockbuster, Broadway blockbuster stuff. It's not a place where people come because their agent's going to come and see them. I mean, those things do happen, but that's not the focus. So of course the pandemic happened and we had to wait. Finally, we were ready to do it. Yes. And the war in Ukraine breaks out. In the play that he wrote, If All the Sky Were Paper, there's a really lovely chunk of letters that were written by Russian soldiers during World War II. Well, with the Ukraine and Russian conflict that's going on, he said, I can't leave those letters in there in all good conscience. I'm going to need to do a rewrite. So we had to table it again. So as of September of 2023, he said, I'm done. I did the rewrite. Yay, we can go. So here we were. We started working on it. And I had written a grant with for the Pasadena Community Foundation. And they were very, very gracious and gave us a grant to help produce the piece. Yes. So here we are. We're producing the piece. And the piece itself is a one act. And it runs about an hour and 30 to 40 minutes. And it's a compilation of these letters. Wow. And it goes from 1776 all the way through to the Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq conflict that we experienced. We went through Desert Shield and Desert Storm, so even letters from that period. Right. are in the play. And the play is woven together by a narrator. The narrator represents Andrew Carroll, who is the writer. And what's interesting about Mr. Carroll is he's now based in Washington, D.C., and he's doing more work on letters. And he's doing a documentary. They're doing a film documentary on his process. And what he did is he traveled around the world collecting letters. He was looking for the letter that was really going to help to describe what is this thing that we do to each other. We decimate each other. We're hateful to each other. We're cruel to each other. The amount of cruelty that human beings exhibit to each other. He says, I want to find the reason. I want to find something that kind of wraps it all together. So he traveled all over the world collecting letters. And he found a letter by a young man in a concentration camp. And he said, this letter moved him so much. And in the letter, the young man says, Mama, if all the sky were paper and the ocean an inkwell, I could not describe my suffering. And when he told me that, I still break out in goosebumps every time I think of that letter. So he decided at that point he was going to put them all together and create something whereby he could do an event or a piece that people could look at and really examine what it is that we do to each other and the planet and societies and culture when we experience war as first time people who have experienced war, sharing that to people who don't have that experience and hopefully bringing them to an understanding of what this is. You know, we opened on Friday and we were very, very lucky to have Mr. Carroll in residence. He came out from DC for the opening, which was exciting. So that's the play.
And you're going to be going all the way until what, June 21st?
We are going through, we opened on June 21st and we're playing through July. We actually are playing through, let me be sure that I have the right date. We're playing through July 7th.
Okay.
Through July 7th. And this week we actually have a Thursday performance, Thursday evening performance. And we're hoping that people come in on Thursday. It's usually a pretty lightly attended night to theater for us. But we've also extended invitations to veterans, and we're going, if you just come, just tell us you're a veteran. You come right in and see the show. So we're hoping that the show does well. We had some reviewers, thanks to Phil Sokoloff and his efforts on our behalf. We had reviewers that came in this weekend. Also, the Pasadena Community Foundation, our funder, was there on Friday and on Sunday's matinee. And they were very, very pleased with the piece itself. So we have two veterans in the show also. One of them who was on the ground in Fallujah, which is really interesting. You know, he says this has been a real transformative experience for him. So
here's the location of where the play is going to be. It's what the
play is at Portico's Art Space in Pasadena on Washington Boulevard. That's 2033 East Washington Boulevard in Pasadena, 91104. You can also go on Eventbrite if you're interested in tickets.
Yes.
You can also go to our website, arroyorepertory.org, O-R-G. We're a nonprofit. We continue to do work like this, and we're very excited about this piece. It is, as I said, it's really transformative. If you come to see it, I think it would be something that you will tell your friends and loved ones about. And the most important piece of this, if you have letters, if you know of anyone who has letters, please let us know, because Mr. Carroll is continuing to collect letters. And it would be really great to have more letters for his collection. And he's looking to move these into some kind of a national archive, which would be great for us and for the people who are memorialized in these letters. In fact, one of the characters in the play, he has a letter from Kurt Vonnegut, who was imprisoned in a concentration camp up in Dresden, Germany. And we actually get to hear Kurt Vonnegut's feelings about the Dresden bombing. And it's very, very powerful and very moving.
Dr. Lucas, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to enlighten us about the magic that you do in the world of musical and stage plays.
Thank you, Ron.
Over 100. Wow, thank you. Is it
And I hope to see you at the theater, Ron.
Okay. I'm a veteran. I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to figure out a way to get there.
Yeah,
Okay.
you let me know.
All right, I'll let that. By the way, is it correct to say, with you being in the building that you do, break a leg? Is it good to say that?
You bet. You bet. You know, that just refers to taking a bow. That's all. I'm going to take a bow. Thank you, Ron, so much for,
My
and
pleasure,
for the
man.
time and your interest. Thank you, and God bless you.
Okay. And special thanks to your publicist, my good friend Philip Sokoloff, for having you here today. He's
Thank you.
a
Thank
great
you.
kind of guy.
You be well.
Will do.
Bye-bye.
All right. I want to thank our sponsors, Hobby Brandford Photography is an Art, Ron Irwin's Loose Wet Weight, The Way to Lose Weight, Larry Buford's Book to the Future, Time Travel, Message in a Capsule, State Farm agent Carla Green, and veteran actor Rob Brownstein's Actor Training Facility and Actors Space. And much thanks to our guest today, actor Van E. West and director Jude Lucas. And we want to say thank you very much. This is the Actor's Choice is a presentation of B&B Productions. Ron Brewington is the president, and Sydney Chandler is our executive producer. Thanks, special thanks to our ever-growing audience. I'm Ron Brewington, working with Tony. Tony is working today. Indeed. Be well. I'll see you next time. Thank you.